Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, our sincere apologies for the delay. On behalf of HR department, I welcome you all for this healthcare awareness presentation. This is the second in line with our motto, in line with our HR Millennium Project. We will be arranging more and more such lectures, such campaigns regularly in the future. Of course, that will depend on the availability of doctors and other speakers who are willing to come forward and share their knowledge with us. As regards today's lecture, it is rightly said, prevention is better than cure. This gathering here is an indication of our willingness to be educated on the preventive measures which one can use for a smooth, normal span of life. Today, we will hear from Dr. Richard about the most common killer diseases, the weapons used by these diseases, and how we ourselves use these weapons to kill ourselves. Today, we will also be made aware of who is at risk. Dr. Richard is the senior consultant physician and cardiologist at National Hospital, which is a member of the NMC group. He has over 42 years experience in medical practice and teaching. Although very well trained in a variety of medical specialties, he firmly believes that educating people and advising them through such gatherings is more important, more beneficial than the treatment itself. For this reason, Dr. Richard approached Etisalat and volunteered his services for this healthcare campaign. I would now like to call Dr. Richard to come forward, say a few more words about himself, and start the presentation. A request from HR, please switch off your mobiles during the presentation.
Am I all right? Can you hear me at the back? Lovely. Yeah. Okay. Now, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'd like to thank Mr. Singh for such a constructive introduction, and I would like to thank our distinguished guests for coming from various places to attend this gathering. It's not a formal lecture, as you will see in a minute, but it's something that is instructive and informative. And it's a message we want to pass through you to all the people who are affected by these killers. I've been running this campaign for a while, and I think this campaign is more productive than giving drugs and treatments. If you can't prevent something, then there's no need for treatment. In any case. Now, before I start, I would like to ask you a few things. How many of you are diabetic? Can you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. Okay? Now, record 10. How many of you are hypertensive? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good Lord, good. How many of you are suffering from chest pain, angina, or heart attack in the past? Please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Well, would you excuse me for a second?
Yes, yes.
I'm sorry for the interruption. So he is at a risk. We'll come to that later. Where were we? So how many are suffering from chest pain or previous infarction or heart attack? It was 1, 2,
Down here.
3.
Yes.
That's all? 4. You're too young for it. 4. Okay. Now, how many of you had obstruction or partial occlusion of the lower limbs? We call it intermittent claudication. Now, you experience when you walk, you get calf pain. When you stop, the pain goes away. Anybody having this phenomenon? 1. Now, how many of you had previous stroke or any sort of neurological changes or symptoms? Right, you're too young for that. Okay, how many of you have high cholesterol? Please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on. No more? 5. It seems that you have them all. 5. Okay. Now, how many of you have got a family history of the mentioned diseases? Like, let's say, hypertension, high cholesterol, diabetes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Lord, that's great, I'm glad. 20 for the family. Okay. How many of you are smokers? 1? Yes? 2, 3, 4?
They're hiding their hand.
4? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14? Don't be shy. 15. Okay, score 15. Now, how many of you are overweight? Or obese? Now, let's get this clear. Now, overweight, we consider a patient overweight when his body mass index is between 25 and 30. Now, you might ask, what is body mass index? Okay, it is really the weight over the surface area, which is the height multiplying by itself. This is the height and this is the width. They're equal. This distance is equal to this distance. So this is body mass index. So if any of you have a body mass index of 25 and over, he's overweight. Lately, they made it 22. They're cutting it down because they find that obesity can do a lot of funny things. Now, if you're over 30, then you are obese. And yesterday, I had a patient, his body mass index was 52. And he's in agony. He cannot live properly. Now, how many of you live an inactive, sedentary life behind the desk, no exercise, no movement? especially the directors like Mr. Yusuf. 1, 2, yes, 3, meaning no exercise at all. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Be frank with yourself. I'm not coming and incriminate any of you. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. What about the ladies? Do you exercise? Do you do jogging? Daily, that's great. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 25. No exercise. Tell me, what about the obese patients? Have you covered them? Did you cover the obese patients? No? What? How much? What's the number? Never mind. It's all right. Right, 12 only. Never mind. Okay. Now, how many of you are under mental stress? Only 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 35. Now, why are you under mental stress? Getting a lot of money, ambition, collect more money. Okay, so there we are. Now, all these people who raise their hands are at a risk of these things. And you'll see in a minute. So pay your money, take your choice. Okay. Now, before I start, I would like you to browse through this handout. Okay? This is not my own experience. This is a statistic paper from the Ministry of Health at the Emirates. You can see the killers of the century are the cardiovascular group, the coronary artery disease, hypertension, stroke, peripheral artery disease, which we've already mentioned. The rest are minorities. The figure that over 100 and more, I've mentioned them. There are 4 of them, which we have already seen. Then you've got diabetes, is a separate entity. We talk in terms of morbidity. Morbid means sick. How many people are suffering from this? Morbidity, mortality, mortals, death. Down the bottom, you can see how many people died of acute myocardial infarction, heart attack, cerebral vascular disease. See, all these figures are very high. The least of them is 170. And look, death from other diseases, from circulatory system, the one that I mentioned about the legs, again they're high, 297. Coming to the cancers, here for something 7 to 8%. But remember one thing here, that those patients with cancers, the figures do not change. They're constant. 1 year, 7.7, 8.7, the other year 7.8.7, 8.6. So, while the diseases I'm going to talk about, they're doubling themselves. And this is where I get into the picture. You've got 150 million people suffering from diabetes, which I've come to take. Now, in the year 2020, there will be more than 400 million people suffering from diabetes. Now, everything going in the street, one of them is diabetic. Later on, everything on the street, 1.5 of them are diabetic. You see? So unless we do something about that, unless we start our personal effort to prevent them, it's going to kill us. So let's kill them before they kill us. Okay. Now, how many, what's the number? Number of all of them.
140.
140? Oh my goodness, they outnumber you all. Those people who are at the risk are 140. So you can see many of you are got more than one risk factors. Okay. Now, these are the 3 killers. diabetes, hypertension, and ischemic heart disease or coronary artery disease. Now, here they put them under different, but why did I combine them? Because diabetes is a metabolic disorder, and these two are cardiovascular disorders, heart and artery disease. Okay. Now, for good many reasons. One of them is that they are preventable. Those killers are preventable. The other reason that a lot of people, and this is, listen to this carefully, they do not take treatment. He's diabetic, but he's not symptomatic, he's not suffering from anything, and he argues with you. Tell me, doctor, why should I take tablets? Well, I'm not suffering from anything. He's wrong. He's wrong. The hypertensive people, again, they don't take tablets. Oh, my wife tells me that these tablets are addicts for me. I don't want to get used to them. Bloody hell. It will be too late for you when you get the complications. See? It's too late to be sorry when you get the dreadful complication, which you will see in a minute. Now, the most important reason why I combine them together is because they share a common weapon. Question number one, what is that weapon? Mind you, there are plenty of presents here, some of them symbolic, others are free consultations. I mean, a consultation plus ECG plus blood test, etc., something around 400 dirham. There is nothing wrong with that if you get this free. Okay? And there shall be a lot of questions going on, and I really wish you to share with me actively. So, the question is, what is this common killer? I might give you a few tips. Number one, those killers, or this weapon, is not a mass destruction weapon, as they used in Iraq. Okay? Number two, it doesn't come from outside. Those diseases, they use part of your body that supplies the whole body, especially the vital organs. They go through this part. Does anybody know what is the weapon? None? None. Huh? Who said arteries? Please raise your hand. Lovely. What's your name? What's your name? Huh? Register his name. Beautiful. That's a very good idea. Now, how do you go about this one? This one. Okay, let's make the light a bit dimmer. Doesn't go dim. Is it going? Huh? That's good. Yeah. Very good. Now, Mr. Singh, can you help me? This is the killer. Ladies and gentlemen. Did you ever realize this? Now, how does it kill you? As you can see in here, this is a normal artery, a normal thickness. This is a thickened artery. Look at this dirty little stuff that is lodging in the wall. This is deposition of fat inside the wall, thus causing the artery to thicken. And what happens if it thickens? Unfortunately, it thickens at the expense of the lumen. If it thickens from the outside diameter, no problem. But if it thickens at the inner diameter, then you get narrowing of the wall. The next question is, what does this narrowing do? Now, when you have narrowing, this is the beginning of the wall against you. But what does the narrowing do? Does anybody know? Huh? No. One by one, and in a loud voice, please. I'm deaf.
It reduces the flow of blood.
Huh?
Hypertension.
What?
Hypertension.
It will.
Cause pressure.
Hypertension? No. Velocity, beautiful. It couldn't be expressed better. It reduces the velocity of the blood. And what is the outcome of reduction of the velocity? Not much blood going in. So that organ that is supplied by this artery will be malnourished. It's just like having a farm, a green farm, and you're draining it with water, and the water little by little becomes less. So the green part of this farm will little by little die. Okay, now having seen this picture, what can we do about it? How can we stop this? We can do these days. And how can we reverse the process? Get this dirty stuff out. Does anybody know? Yes? Indeed. But it will come later. Diet and exercise, that's one good question. Register her name. Iman? Amani. Okay. Diet and exercise. 2. Sorry. Can you close this for me? Close this for me. I'm sorry. Now, so we said diet and exercise. Number 2. Huh? Operation? You do operation for this? Look what the operation we do. You straighten it out. Nobody knows? Yes? Huh? Treatment? Well, it is treatment, but I want to know how would you prevent this? Yes, we are talking in terms of prevention. Yes? Huh? Yes, you read your right, but I can't hear you.
We are not doctors, man.
Yes? You should mention it.
Reduce tension and
Reduce what?
tension and pressure
Pressure?
and tension.
If there is hypertension, this is half a question. Half a present for him. What's your name?
Hamid.
Okay. So, in general, in order to prevent this, we would like to know what accelerates this narrowing of the urine. What accelerates it? If we know what accelerates it, we will then know how to decelerate it. Okay? Now, number 1, diabetes. Diabetes is a metabolic disorder where all the metabolites are involved in it, the carbohydrates, the protein, and the fat. And this metabolic arrangement would lead to high lipids in the blood, and they will deposit in here. And prevention of diabetes is amenable, and we'll come to it later. Hypertension, high blood pressure exerted on the wall. What happens when you exert a high blood pressure? Most of you are engineers. How does the artery respond? By thickening. And unfortunately, the thickening takes place at the expense of the lumen, and thus they harden and becomes narrower. Very simple. Reduce the blood pressure, and you can stop this process. I'll come to it later. Smoking. Do I need to comment on smoking, or you know it? There are 101 reasons why you should stop smoking. I'll come to it in another lecture. Okay? But smoking mobilizes the fat from its depots, and surely they will deposit in here. Other than that, they cause constriction of the arteries. And this constriction will interrupt the flow of blood to its target organ. Okay. This is the talk of the town. High lipids. High lipids. Cholesterol is the most important incriminating factor. But surely you would like to know more about this. There are 2 types of cholesterol. Mind you, the cholesterol is produced by the liver. It goes to the circulation to deposit in the arteries. That's the job. Well, there are two types of cholesterol. One of them is a good cholesterol, and the other one is a bad cholesterol. One fights against the other. Now, cholesterol is an aristocrat. It does not like to walk on its feet. It always likes a taxi. And the taxi is a protein. Small taxis, small lipoprotein, those small proteins are called low density lipoprotein. So this small taxi carries the bad cholesterol. So always this figure of LDL, low density lipoprotein. Okay? This is the bad cholesterol. If the figure is high, then you're in trouble. The good cholesterol likes to sit in a Rolls Royce, a big protein. It's called high density lipoprotein. Okay? So, high density, the more, or if you can increase your high density lipoprotein, the more the lesion will regress. Now, triglyceride is the third one, less important than cholesterol. Again, it does the same process, it plays the same game. It's composed of a glycerol nucleus with three fatty acids. Okay. Now, let's go further. Family history. In fact, many of you have got some family history of these diseases. If you have family history of the above diseases, then you should screen yourself regularly. And you should modify your lifestyle in order to avoid this. Because believe me, it will catch you at some stage. If you don't take care, grow obese, inactive life, smoking, bad habits, you'll get it. And these markers, the family history is a marker to warn you, take care, take care. Okay? Now, here, you've got obesity, inactivity, and stress. Now, I give you a small story of the German generals in the Second World War. When it's finished, of course, they become prisoners of war. They were put in concentration camps. Now, those people, they lived for over 90 years. For over 90 years. Do you believe this? The doctors became curious. So they did a post-mortem of them after death. Some of them died only lately, more than 50 years. They discovered that their arteries are as healthy as the arteries of an infant, of a small boy. No plugs at all, no cholesterol deposition. Does anybody know why? Yeah. Nobody knows why?
Exercise.
Exercise, good. Score. What's your name? Huh? Yeah. Are you putting his name? Okay. Now, they exercise. Well, those people are living in a concentration camp. They have nothing to do except keeping busy. To kill the time, they exercise. That's one. Other one? Food. Beautiful. Who said food? Yes. And your name is?
Haifa.
Haifa. Okay? Those people are undernourished. They get bad food. Not like the wealthy food our aristocrats get. The wealthy food are rich in fats, and carbohydrates, and sweets, and lovely things. So the food, if you starve, you will live longer. So pay your money, take your choice. Okay. And there's another third factor.
Wall function of the
Huh?
heart. Wall function of the heart.
Well,
Wall function of the heart.
no. Well, it becomes well if the arteries are all right. No, not that.
Smoking. Less exercise.
No, well, smoking could play a role. They don't have money to buy cigarettes. That's good, but this is not an important one.
Because they far normal
Huh?
life. They are far from normal life.
How? Yes? Yes, we're getting along.
Less exercise.
Stress.
Stress, beautiful. 2 presents, 2 plus. What's your name?
Ahmed.
Ahmed. Okay. Right. Now, so this story explains the three things: obesity, inactivity, and stress. Now, of these patients, ladies, if they lose 5 kilograms, their cholesterol will go down 5 milligrams, even if you remain overweight. So pay your money, take your choice. Obesity is a burden. You've got a heart, like an engine, got a car engine, 4-cylinder car engine, and you bring the body of a Rolls Royce, 8-cylinder body. What happens? Can it carry you? It can't. It may carry you for a short while. But ladies and gentlemen, obesity will cut down in the span of life by 25%, whether you like it or not. So dream of it tonight. Okay? Let's see what you can do tomorrow. Inactivity, well, inactivity, we've mentioned it. Exercise, plenty of benefits. I will come to it later on, because I have to hurry. Stress, we've talked about it, and there are many ways of fighting against stress. Now, the next question is, what happens if the lumen narrows? This is the question.
Heart attack.
Huh?
Heart attack.
Heart attack? No, heart attack is death of a muscle.
Blood circulation stops.
Huh?
Blood circulation.
Yes?
It reduces the circulation of the blood.
What happens to the blood circulation? Reduced. What happens if the blood circulation is reduced? How would you know? God Almighty have given you. God Almighty have given you a warning. Huh? No. I see. Okay. Give them half a bit. Okay? Now, when you get narrowing of the lumen, you get ischemic pain. This ischemic pain is pain that comes with effort, stops you. When it stops, the pain is endless. This is what you get, and this is a warning sign. And look, if you don't look after yourself, you go to a further stage where the artery occludes. So, ischemic pain. Now, what happens if the narrowed lumen ultimately closes? As I said, like a green man, drained with water, and you stop the water. What happens? Huh?
Dies.
So you get death of the tissue supply. What happens if you get occlusion of a vital organ? Does anybody, no. Can you list for me 5 vital organs in the body? Very easy. Huh? Heart. What's your name? Yes, heart, yes. Huh? You? Heart, yes. What's one?
Brain.
Two.
Brain.
Register a name?
Brain.
Kidney, yes, 2. Lovely.
Liver.
No.
Brain.
Brain. 3. 4.
Eyes
Lung.
also.
Lung? Doesn't kill you, the lung. You can smoke for 70 years. You see, the lung has got good reserve. Okay. Now,
Pancreas.
no.
Eyes. You just died.
No, I think this is your level. Now, so one said heart, that's true. Brain, true. And the third one is the kidney, true. And the fourth one is the eye.
Eyes.
You
I
don't
told
see what
eyes.
happens.
I told eyes.
You said eyes?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a bit deaf. Okay. Now, eyes, register his name. And the last one? Arteries of the neck. You will see dreadful things now. No, legs, arteries of the legs. Come on. Effect of occlusion of vital artery or vital organ. Now, this is the heart. You see the heart. So, this is the, sorry. Where's my pen? Sorry. This is the heart. This is the dead occlusion. And this is another area in the heart. This is the dead area that is dark, and this is occlusion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what decides the size of the infarcted muscle? This is, we call it infarction in our language. In your language, you call it heart attack. But let's turn in terms of death of the muscle. What determines the size of the dead muscle? Huh? Come on, very simple question if you're engineers. Nobody knows?
The place of block.
The size of the artery. If this artery here at this level blocks, is it the same as this part here? No. This one draining a small area, smaller area is closed. This one drains a bigger area, and the bigger area closed. Now, can you get death with a heart attack? Huh?
Yes.
Yes, you can. How and when? Huh? And that's a good answer, but it's a universal word. No. When, okay, I'll give you a hint.
After 4 times, the first time.
Surely, if there's a blockage of a major artery, okay, a major artery and the proximal part, there should be a certain amount of the heart muscle that dies to make it fail as a pump. Can you know the percentage? Okay, I'll tell you. 2/3 of the heart muscle, if it dies, then it fails as a pump. It will give you a quick passport to the other world. Okay? Now, the other organ, we'll talk about it later. The other organ that's affected is the brain. Look, this is the infarction, this is the dead part of the brain, and usually it causes hemiplegia. Half of the body is paralyzed. I've got 2 questions here. The first question is, what is the size of the artery that causes all this to be paralyzed? Huh? What is the size? Is it big size? Small? Who said small? You? Okay. How small is it? Is it as thick as a matchstick? Big one? Oh no, this is not small. This is, look, the biggest artery in the
Capillary.
can be,
It's a capillary.
huh?
Capillary.
No, not capillary. It's an artery. And
As small as
considered
that.
as a good artery. Okay, I'll answer. It's as big as a pin. The thickness of a pin. Very small size artery. Just imagine, this small artery paralyzes half of the body. Makes you crippled. Can you prevent it? Yes, we can. We will come to it later. Right. Now, the second question, sometimes, at least, some of you have seen somebody with paralysis of half the size, hemiplegia. Okay? Some of them have got, they lose the power to talk. Who loses the power to talk? Which part of the body loses the power to talk? I know it's all of the brain. I'll answer. Just this is extra information. The part where which you write yours with. The right hand, if you get right side hemiplegia, unfortunately you lose your speech. But if you are left-handed and got left-handed hemiplegia, again you lose your speech. Okay? Now, we'll come to it later. Now, what happens if there is occlusion of the peripheral artery? What happens? Anybody knows? We said when it narrows, you get intermittent claudication, you stop. Huh? Pain? No. What happens if occlusion? No? Look, I just talked about it. Death of some part. And you will see the death of some part.
Paralysis.
You will never forget this all your life. Believe me. And I tell you something. I am not a prophet, but sometimes I go for domiciliary visits to see patients at home. When they open the main door, from the spot, I say, this is a diabetic patient with a gangrenous leg. Why? Why? Because it smells so bad. All the deodorants of the world will not stop you from smelling this bad smell. So you can well imagine the agony of those patients. Not only the patient himself, but those people who nurse him. It's a curse. So you better get on and start thinking of preventing these complications. Now, here we have talked about 3 macro big arteries. Not as big as that one, but to the heart that's built is a big artery. But you've got capillary arteries, small arteries. Okay? I'll give an example of a macro. Got one micro, small, and I've got another one, macro and micro. This is the micro. This is the retina. The retina is the inner layer of the eyeball. It is a neurogenic layer, receives perception, sends it through this optic disc to the brain to visualize the environment. Now, any part of it, you see, this is hemorrhages. These are because of ischemia, because of diminished blood supply through these arteries, you get exudations, those yellowish or whitish. Some of them are hard, some of them are fluffy like this, okay? But these are the hemorrhages, these are tiny microaneurysms. You could diagnose your diabetic from the fundus. So when you look at your eye, you say, why this physician is poking his nose into things that do not belong? No, because this is the only place where we can see the artery of the body. The artery is hidden inside. This is the only place that is exposed. Okay? This other slide is a more dangerous one because of ischemia, because of little blood coming, because of food nourishment. The blood vessels start to compensate. So they start to proliferate. The arteries start to proliferate, the small capillary system. But unfortunately, the proliferation is useless because they constitute a vascular tissue, friable, with a little bit of cough, it bleeds, and you get blind. This is treated with laser. Okay. This is the micro part. Come on. Let's go to this part, the 5th complication. The kidney has got both micro and macro. This one micro, macro. Look at the yellowish stuff in here. This is the beginning. This is the further. This is the utmost thickening here. Look at the renal artery. It's thickened compared with this one, compared to the first one. This is the macro. And the micro is near the glomerulus, which is the small nephron, we call it, the unit of filtration of the waste products. There are vessels around it, vessels that go in, vessels go out, and meanwhile the waste products filtered. The vessels over there, when they sclerose, 60% of patients with end-stage renal failure are diabetic. Unfortunately, not all the diabetics go to that stage. They will die at an earlier stage. The heart attack will catch them first. If they survive from the heart attack, they'll go to this one. So they'll never escape if they're not treated. Okay. Now, having seen those dreadful complications, perhaps you'd like to know a little bit more about diabetes, which is the first killer. So I'll brief you in brief. This is, sorry, I keep forgetting. This is the pancreas, it's a comma shape, located in the back part of the abdomen, the tummy, okay, hugged by the duodenum, and it has a little duct that secretes into the duodenum. If you squeeze this gland, it will burn any tissue in front of it because it is a lytic. It dissolves anything that comes on its way, just like acid. So this secretion goes into the duodenum for digestion of all the food so that to be absorbed and usually absorbed. Okay. So this is the exocrine part of the gland. So just to remind you of the good old biology days, this is exocrine, it has got duct, and the secret is called an enzyme, and it has a local action. The action is here. Now, but at the same time, the pancreas has another tissue. Sheets of cells bathed by blood. Okay? The secretion goes into the blood. And the effect is distant, far away. This is called an endocrine gland. Endo means inside. Endocrine, it secretes to the blood, and it secretes a hormone. All the endocrine glands, you all have the doctor, the endocrinologist, who deals with those small little glands that could play wonders with you. Okay? To have this action. Okay. Now, why do I come to this? What is insulin? Insulin is a hormone secreted by the beta cells in the pancreas. Those beta cells are in these islands. They call them islands of Langerhans. Okay? You don't have to remember them, but the secretion of the insulin comes from beta cells, the cells that are inside those islands. Okay. Now, the next question is, what does insulin do? Does anybody know what insulin does? Yes?
Protein,
Huh?
blood protein,
Blood protein?
glucose.
Yeah, what does, yeah. Okay, let's hear this gentleman.
So you let the food go into the cell.
Bravo, bravo, you're doing excellent. 2 pluses. Get the name. Okay, now, beautiful, very nice. But I thought I should be a bit more simpler. So I drew a diagram of a cell. This is a fat cell, or a cell. This is a cytoplasm, this is a nucleus, and this is a cell wall. I presume, it's only presumption, to get it here, but not to forget it, that this cell has got a door, like this door. Okay? Insulin is the key to that door. Opens the door so that glucose and oxygen goes in. What does glucose do inside the cell? It liberates energy. If no glucose goes in, then there will be malnourished the cell, and it will ultimately die. Okay? Now, so insulin opens the door of the cell wall to let glucose enter cell for liberation of nourishment and liberation of energy. Are you all right now so far? Is it clear to everybody? Okay, because you need to know this. Now, the next question is, what does insulin do? We said what does it do? What stimulates insulin secretion? Anybody knows? Nobody?
Blood sugar level.
Huh?
Blood sugar level.
What did you say?
Blood sugar level.
What happened to blood sugar level?
Blood sugar level increases when it is to reduce.
Bravo! Beautiful! Register his name. You're going to make a lot of money these days. You're a wonderful audience. So, insulin is stimulated by high level sugar. High level sugar, get insulin. To lower it. Once it's lower, the insulin stops. So, this is a continuous cycle of feedback mechanisms. High sugar, more insulin, less sugar, less insulin. It goes back to the cycle. Now, the next question is, what happens if the pancreas goes on strike? What happens?
The kidney stone.
No. No. It's too early for the kidney to stop. The 2 things can happen. Either there is no insulin, huh? Either there is no insulin at all, or little insulin. Either little insulin or bad insulin. Same key, same combo, but doesn't open the door. We call this insulin resistant. That's a bad insulin. Okay. Now, the next question is, what happens? The door here is totally closed. Either the door is totally closed when there is no insulin, or it is partially open because there is little insulin.
Sugar will go inside.
Huh? Sugar will not go inside. Here, little sugar go inside. Very little. Still malnourished. Still bad. Here, there is no sugar at all. There is difference between this one and that one. I'll come to it in a minute. So, when the sugar stays outside, what happens? You will get high levels of sugar. And when you get high levels of sugar, you become hyperglycemic. Hyperglycemia equals diabetes. Okay? Now, coming to diabetes, and diabetics are two types of diabetics. One of them is type 1. This is the juvenile, young age, and this constitutes only 5% of the diabetics. Most of the diabetics are type 2. This is maturity onset, non-insulin dependent. This one is insulin dependent, this one is non-insulin dependent. Now, I'll make a quick comparison between the two. This is young age, okay, before the teenage, year over 30 years. Symptoms are almost the same, but this one, the complications are very bad here, like the ones I showed you. This one, the symptoms here mainly loss of weight, plus passing a lot of urine, because the sugar, plenty of sugar in the blood, it should go out, it goes out to the water, so it must go, especially at night. If you wake up at night to pass urine, this is not normal. 3 causes of it. Either you are diabetic, or you're suffering from renal failure, kidney disease, when the kidney disease, it loses function, or you drink a lot of beer. Okay. Now, so, treatment-wise, I just want to remind you of this, but I'll talk on it in greater length later. Diet is very important for the obese ladies. Glucose control, I'll come to it later, but this is the most important part of the year, which I'm stressing on. If you don't have glucose control, then the next step is that you will not know where you are. And the diabetes will start eating up. Little by little, stepwise, until it cripples you. Exercise, we'll talk about later, medication. Now, there are a few points which I want to stress. The short-term complications is very important because if in young children, when they're not receiving insulin, the sugar goes up. So we get hyperglycemia, and those children, they might go into coma. Why do they go into coma? And they die. Because when the blood, the cells in the body, especially the fat cells and the muscles, it cannot burn sugar, it starts burning fat. Fat is a very low octane fuel. Okay, not like the sugar. Sugar is high octane. Okay, this one is 50% octane. Bad smell and bad quality. And the quality is, the byproduct is ketones. We call it ketones. Remember this one, because it's important. Those ketones are acidic, and once the acidity of the blood becomes a little bit more acidic, it knocks the brain, and the patient goes into coma. No treatment, that's the way. Children. It can happen in adults as well, but not as bad as children. Then hypoglycemia is very important. When you take too much insulin, too much exercise with insulin, the sugar goes down, again it's dangerous. Again it could kill you. If you don't eat and take too much insulin, it kills you. Get hypoglycemia. And I've got some, outside, when you go out, there is a booklet showing all these to remind you of what has been going on inside the room. Okay? Now, got 2 other points to show you. This is the ketones. Okay? When there are these, many doctors, they do not know this fact. When you have ketones in the urine, what does that mean? If you've got a big man, 50 years old, and he gets ketones in the urine. You see, many doctors, they don't know what's the significance of that. It means that there are no insulin in the body. No insulin at all in the body. You see? Ketonuria means no insulin in the pancreas. Because, you have insulin. And you get drugs to stimulate the insulin. Okay. It pumps insulin, but actually exhausted. You can't stay forever. It's already lazy. It's already not in proper function. To exhaust itself, then in that case you will need this. The first marker is you get ketones in the urine. The other one, this HbA1c, is a marker. Now this marker, you get the red blood cells, and inside the red blood cells there are hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin has some sugar. And you've been hyperglycemic over 3 months, having high blood sugar, well surely the sugar in the red blood cells or in the hemoglobin become higher. Okay, so if you measure the level of this sugar inside the hemoglobin, we'll be having an idea about what has been going on in the last 3 months. Because the red blood cell, the age of red blood cell is 3 months. So the sugar inside the red blood cell, inside the hemoglobin, gives you an idea of what has been going on in the last 3 months. Because normally you go to a doctor, your diabetes, bad diabetes, that day you've been very vigorous in your treatment, you check your blood sugar, 110, 120, oh very good, very good. He taps you in the back, okay, stop the treatment, or go on the same treatment. And in the evening your blood sugar goes up to 400. So we have done nothing. You see, the water will go from underneath. So this is a good marker, remember it if you're diabetic, to check how your sugar has been doing in the last few months. Lastly, this is microalbuminuria. This is an early marker of diabetic nephropathy. When the kidney starts failing, you can never tell, because the kidney functions will not be curtailed, not unless 80 or 90% of the kidney is damaged. The urea, the creatinine will not go up before a lot of the kidney is damaged. So what happens is that this albumin is an early marker. If you have early nephropathy, you can treat it, you can prevent it. So please remember this. If you're diabetic and doctor doesn't do this, ask for microalbuminuria. Now, coming to the criteria for a diagnosis of diabetes in order to become doctors, okay, we would like to know what are the criteria. And tell you, if a fasting blood sugar is more than 126, then you're likely diabetic. If you have symptoms, polyuria, polydipsia, loss of weight. Now, polyuria, too much sugar, polydipsia, too much thirst, polyphagia, too much eating. Now, if you eat a lot and lose weight, there are 3 conditions that cause this. Does anybody know? One of them is diabetes. The other is?
Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis, TB.
No, TB you don't have the appetite to eat.
Oh, lose weight.
No. The infections and cancers, you don't eat, you don't have energy, you lose weight. Okay? I'll tell you. In sugar, in diabetes, you lose a lot of sugar, okay? With the urine. But if you lose your nutrients from the back passage, okay, you get diarrhea all the time. Malabsorption, you don't absorb well, all the nutrients go out. Again, you eat a lot, but you lose weight. And the third one is metabolic. All of you know about the thyroid gland. This is a very active gland, and if too much hormone secretion from this gland, it will burn the whole world. Okay? So you eat a lot, but you lose weight. It's quite obvious you can diagnose it. Either tremor, palpitation, nervous, stare, exophthalmos, the eye is protruding also, the gland is enlarged, many symptoms. If you like, one day we can talk about it, but in here, let's go to the third bit, and we have to hurry a little bit. The glucose tolerance test, this is, you load the body with glucose to see how the body responds. Well, when you give glucose, the sugar should go up. But if the sugar doesn't go down at the end of 2 hours, then you're diabetic. Okay? So there are 2 types of situation here. Either the sugar goes up and remains up, so glucose, the sugar goes over 200 after 2 hours, or it may go down, but it goes over 200 at some stage. That's what we call it impaired glucose tolerance test. This means that you are liable to be diabetic at some stage. Okay. What our goal for glycemic control? Fasting sugar of less than 110, we will agree to 120 to 80. Anything less than 80 hypoglycemia, anything more than 120, we need to take action. Here, the bedtime sugar, less than 120. If we go up to 140, okay. More than 160, you have to take action. The HbA1c, it has to be less than 6. 7, okay. Will not do anything, but if more than 8, you have to do something. Now, come on. Facts about diabetes. Just listen to this. I browsed quickly. 150 million are diabetic. Onset of diabetes took probably 10 years before clinical diagnosis. So always keep an eye. Every 10 person in the street, 10 people in the street, 3 of them are diabetic. Probably 1.5 of them do not know they are diabetic. And they might present with complications. And then it's too late to present with complications. Okay? This is a proportion of diagnosis. You know, I've got microvascular, the eye and the kidney, neuropathy, and the undiagnosed. Many of them have got this microvascular complication during the undiagnosed period. So we diagnose them with an ophthalmoscope, okay? Or we diagnose them through kidney functions. Anyhow, microvascular, the big complication, the brain, the heart, and the arteries and the leg are very common in those section of people. Over 25 million of people are blind because of diabetes. And blindness makes 1/4 of the fourth leading cause of death, of blindness, diabetes. Treatment can prevent blindness in 90%. Why not treat early? Okay? Then coming here, the glucose and blood pressure. If you control your glucose and blood pressure, you will live another 20 years. Okay? Better control blood glucose reduces kidney disease by 1/3, and proper eye screen and treatment reduces blindness by half. Okay. Effective food care, very important to prevent those gangrene. You see the dirty looking feet. Okay? If you treat well, you prevent, a lot of you come to it later, you will cut down on the incidence of amputation. Now, the 4 pillars in the management of diabetes. Okay? This is very important. Please listen well, don't sleep. I think you not to sleep. All right. Diet. Food does not have to be your enemy. You doctor, please give me a sheet. Please give what you like. But know your food facts. In half an hour you know what to eat, what not to eat. You don't eat the wheat products, okay, the flour. All of it let it go away, okay? Don't eat potatoes. All right? Don't eat rice. These are the main carbohydrates. And don't eat a lot of sweets. Be like Gandhi, the main of vegetables, okay? And non-sweet foods. With a little bit of that, and you can eat a lot of fish. You can eat meat, red meat, and you can eat chicken, but take the skin part of it. Okay. Physical activity, you don't have to run a daily marathon to enjoy the benefits of exercise. And believe me, I can talk for 2 hours about the benefits of exercise. So please, you have to exercise for more than 1 hour a day. Please get into the habit of it, especially you gentlemen. Okay? So please, I mean everybody, all of you, a lot of you are overweight. 25 out of probably 100 or so are overweight. You don't lose a lot by doing exercise. It will lower your blood sugar. It will lower your lipid. It will make your arteries more elastic. It will reduce the stress. You can see till the Gulf War, Bush is jogging. Okay? He's exercising and he's burning half of the world. You see? So see how exercise is important for the human being, especially the older you grow, the more exercise you do. Monitoring. This is the most important. I stress on all my patients to buy a glucometer. Now, If you get a high feeding, what will you do? There's no doctor around. What will you do? You will have to think twice of the diet, the meal that you had. Okay? This meal has raised the blood sugar too much, so I have to cut down on the items and make it high. That's one. Number two, you have to think of the drugs that you're taking that has its maximum effect at that particular hour. Okay? So as to increase the blood. And the third point, the immediate action, exercise. If you exercise for a quarter of an hour, the glucose will drop. Medication, there's plenty of medication downtown.